We got hards on. We're going to the end.
Oh my lord. Oh my god. The race that never fails to deliver. I was scared, man. I was scared. Austria, and I've said it a couple of times, my favourite race. My favourite race on the calendar. And I was getting ready. I was getting ready to slander it. Because up until lap 53, that was not a race. That was torture. That was watching paint dry. And on lap 54, what was the quote the commentator said? What was the quote? What did he say? He said, "We've got a race on our hands." Lap 54 out of 71. But oh my god, those next like 20 laps or whatever, 54, 64, 70. Yeah, basically 20 laps, about 17 laps, right? That was everything I needed wrapped into it. That was amazing. That was great. You know what I love right now? You know? You can't start a fire without a spark. And this race is the spark. This race, the ignition has just been ignited, right? Because man, we had races this year. By the way, another different race winner, which is like this season is really being something, right? But yeah, we've had Max and Lando be close, right, for a few times now. They said on commentary that this is seeming to be the two above the rest at the moment, Lando v Max, and Max has been winning most of the time, right? But it's never the issue is it's all been a bit too kiddie friendly, nice, hug my best friend, all this stuff between Lando and Max. Obviously like each other, and if you want a real good fight on your hands, look at the great fights. There's got to be some spice in there, some spike. And oh man, it kind of seems like Lando's behind Max, and it kind of has felt like this. I'm not going to say it's definitely the case, but it's kind of felt like Max and Lando doesn't feel like he races Max as hard as he can. And I don't think it's because he can't race him, but it's just because it feels like drivers drive like when someone's behind Stroll, they give no respect. Like people don't respect Stroll. They'll just go around anything with him, right? And equally, certain drivers maybe are going to be a little bit more cautious because we know what they're like, type thing. With Max and Lando, it always felt a little bit too friendly. It felt like he tried to get past him on 2, 3 occasions, right? And Max will race anyone like anyone. He doesn't care who you are outside of the cockpit, right? And then there was like a switch, and all of a sudden it was like, you know, we'll get to that. We have got to go through the normal sectors, right? We can't, we still got to talk about quality. We're going to breeze past that and then get into the race rundown. Quality, by the way, was like a 5 out of 10. It was not too interesting. It was pretty predictable. You could tell it was going to happen like from pretty soon on. It was going to be like Max on pole and Lando, like he was going to be second. No one really went out early. It was pretty boring. Something a little bit more serious that I'm just going to brush over real quick. Not that I'm just trying to brush under the... Oh, God, I'm already digging myself a hole. Sonoda said bad word, and Sonoda said the R word, which you shouldn't say. I wouldn't say it. That being said, as soon as anything happens and people start clutching their pearls, they want, they want justice. All of a sudden, everyone on Twitter is, just a beacon of light and just perfect angels. Just the reaction to it, it's like the guy says the bad word, right? He's fine for it. He apologizes. We move on. He probably most likely will not say it again, right? And I was just reading like what some people were saying about it on Twitter, and it's like, I think what's more important maybe is the way people are speaking about it, like, oh my god, I can't believe I never would have expected this from Sonoda. Like, I've looked up like this and that about Sonoda. I can't believe you would do this. Or the flip of it was people who have other drivers as their little profile picture. They got like Daniel Ricciardo as their profile picture, or Charles Leclerc, clearly coming at it from an angle, just being like, see, this is why Sonoda is like way too immature and why he doesn't get that Red Bull seat. Almost speaking from this like place of like, my driver would never do that. And it's like, it's just gross. Like, I just feel like people are angry when they don't really care, and it's all just coming from a place really of my driver wouldn't. It's like, the real issue is the fact that you either A, have Sonoda as like your picture and you make this driver your whole entire personality when you don't know him, or B, you're coming at this from a standpoint of like a rival and this better makes your driver look better. Well, guess what? All of them drivers in that grid would probably say that word, and all the drivers in that grid would probably say it knowing maybe the more weight of it, maybe that Sonoda didn't. And it's like, before you go and make people you don't even know your entire personality type, maybe just keep that in mind. You don't know them. But whatever. You know what? I'm in a spicy mood. Because this race, you can't talk about this race without picking a side. And if you're picking a side, you're immediately pissing somebody off, because this race has ruffled some feathers. The only other thing that really happened from quali was that Piastri got pissed, which we don't see. You don't see that. That's like a rare sighting. That's like the blue tip mockingjay sparrow or whatever. It's like you don't see it, right? We got to see a shiny Pokemon. Essentially, what I'm saying, he's unflappable. He is sort of, you know, straightforward robot, right? But for whatever reason, the gravel in there still getting time deleted. This really pissed him off, and it's kind of like you know, when like people see those guards outside Buckingham Palace with the big sort of black hat and like the red suit or whatever, and they just got to stand there, look dead on, to the point where one passed out of heat exhaustion the other day because they just can't move. Or like one of those like mimes, or like people who freeze like in sort of central London on the South Bank as like silver men or whatever. And you try and go up to them, you try and like, you try and do, you know, wave in front of their face, blah, 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 try and like, you put them off, trying to see if you can make them blink. This was the first thing to make him blink, because this pissed him off, and he went in the interview and it was like, he saw a different side of Piastri, and I liked it. He was angry, he called it embarrassing, and ultimately, actually, if that didn't happen, they didn't delete it, he actually could have won this race. Because he would have been like that third sort of driver. He would have been ahead of Russell, in my opinion, and he would have of been picking up the pieces, or B, would have been amongst the fight that was happening between Lando and Max. So that had a way bigger impact, and he kind of spoke about that in like the interview afterwards. But that had like a way bigger impact than he probably would have even thought. Like, I don't think he was already annoyed, but I don't think he thought that decision potentially stopped him from getting a race win. But okay, the race. And by the way, we're talking about the race from literally 54 onwards, because that was the race. So the first thing I want to get into, like, about the whole race was this whole, like, I kind of spoke about it last week, this whole like Lando is shit, Lando really ain't the guy for this, like we thought he was the guy, now he's actually up against Verstappen, and we're realizing he's overrated, this and that, he's in the fastest car, this whole fastest car thing, like, oh, the McLaren just is the fastest car now because it has been a few weekends, when it's clearly like changing like weekends to weekend. Like, that's clearly what's happening here. Like, that's not the craziest thing in the world. But it's like, no, Lando just is the fastest car now. So every time Verstappen puts it on pole or wins a race or does anything, it's like, and he did it with a slower car. And it's like, I just don't know if I can subscribe to that yet. Lando has definitely bottled some wins and some good moments. But like this weekend, to me, the Red Bull was clearly the faster car. He was like, I feel like we've seen that if Lando has the pace, at least in quali, he will show that. Whereas this was just like, Verstappen just seemingly had like 4 attempts on everyone at least. And in the race, like, we've seen, because again, it's one thing catching, another thing passing. Like, I think if Lando had a faster car, we would have seen that from the second he was P2 on lap 2, we wouldn't see Verstappen just getting away. We've seen Lando, when he has got the faster car, be able to close those gaps and build gaps. And the passing is what we want to start to see more of now. That's what people are demanding. But this whole like Max is definitely, you know, got a slower car and he's still doing it. So how shit must Lando be? Well, not too shit, because he's still consistently finishing ahead of his teammate and all the other, you know, 19, 18 whatever drivers on the grid. So yeah, you can see where I'm setting up my stall and who I'm defending here right from the off. But it just didn't seem catchable. And also, we're literally in Austria this week. Like, this would be one of the hardest places to topple the mighty Red Bull, right? And I just think, like, we're in Bowser's castle trying to defeat Bowser. You know, we're trying to kill Thanos on Titan. And we all know how that went from my Marvel fans out there. So, yeah, it was asking a lot. And to be honest, it seemed impossible, and we got very close to something amazing. And I just think we should take that in mind. And I also don't know why people are so like wanting this to be him to fail almost. It's like, it's not coming from a place of people really wanting like to see this fight now happen and to see like finally some excitement. Because let us not forget where we literally were, right? Let's not forget the asylum which we were all raised, right? That was Max winning every race by about 47 minutes, right? And then us do you remember that? Putting tape over who was in P1 because it was that bad. And now we have a challenger enter the ring, and we're kind of like, we don't know. People are speaking about it from an angle where they actively don't. They want him to be shit. They want him to be overrated. They want to see him bottle it so they can jump on Twitter and be like, he's a bottle. Which is crazy because like we needed this. And I get it to an extent because if Ocon was doing this, sure, maybe I wouldn't be excited for it. But like, it's crazy, people. Keep your eyes on the prize. I don't know why people are so annoyed about it. We've been begging for this. But yeah, we get to the situation because Max, I think, gets a bad pit stop, and then Norris is back in the fight, and I feel like he's got some kind of tire issue or something he's been complaining about. And usually Max complains when he's like 20 seconds ahead, and it doesn't really, like, Max will be ahead being like, no, this is shit, you have to fix it, and it's like no one's catching you, 20 seconds ahead, big whoop. But this time around he came out of the pit, and like I actually seen like his complaints, there was like effects happening from it, and Lando had the pace on him, he could catch him. But now it was the point where, are you going to pass? Are you going to get past? And he kind of went into those corners maybe a bit safe the first few times. And once you get to about 4 laps, still following someone, and you've got all these cars to overtake because it's quite a short lap. So on some laps, Verstappen could use that to his benefit. We saw a switch, right? And this is the most interesting part for me. Because we're gonna, I hope at least, we're gonna slowly start to see this bestie thing fade, and they can be friends off the track. I don't really care what they do. You know, you can still be friends, guys, or after this. But on it, in the interviews, right? Let's get some fire going in these people's eyes. It is an amazing thing. This crash is amazing, guys, and I don't care if you like Lando, you like Max, if you like motorsport, if you like motor racing Toto, then you should like this in the long run. And why is that? What else have I got on this here? Because for the overall season, basically, this is amazing, is what I'm trying to say. And Lando Norris had his Harvey Dent moment. He flipped that coin. You know, he flipped his, you know, heads or tails coin, right? And on a black and white flag for track limits, driving towards the arse of Max Verstappen, he flipped that coin, right? Heads you live, tails you die. And he sent it down the inside. And he went off the track, but he sent it down the inside, and all of a sudden, the elbows came out, and things got aggressive, and he's on the radio, and he's getting angry, and each team's little, like, best friends are being like, oh, he is so wrong for that, and the other team's being like, oh my god, no, he is so wrong for that, just backing up whatever the drivers are saying, basically. You get Horner on the radio, he's just like, no, I don't know what he was doing there, Max, you know, both like, teams' pit walls just completely, you know, waxing lyrical. Neither one of them could ever be in the wrong, right? And, we see this Harvey Dent moment, and you know what? You live, what is it? You die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And after scrolling Twitter after that race and seeing a bunch of Max fans crying on the timeline, on the TL, because they feel like Lando ruined his race, which, by the way, when was the last time you saw Max fans just crying about another driver? It's been like since 2021. And I saw Max fans tears on the timeline. Yeah, I think he's going to become the villain, and I'm all here for it, and you should be too. Especially the fact that next week we're going into Silverstone, home track. Oh my god, what I wouldn't give for at least a British driver to win that. Not because I'm just some hugely patriotic person, but just because it would mean it would either be, I guess George, I'd still be happy about that, it'd still be fun and different, but like a Hamilton, which, oh my god, that'd be, there's no precedent for that. There's no, like, that's not projected to happen. Hamilton's seemingly nowhere most weeks, but just, oh my god, that'd be great. Orlando, because what that would mean for the race, and what that would mean in sort of this, like, bigger argument, this new bigger rivalry, because they have been going at each other for a few races, but it's never felt like a rivalry yet, you know. And now it's like, you got the Max fans, you got people that are taking Lando's side, you got people who back other drivers like Leclerc being like, by the way, this is the way my driver has overtaken Max, so maybe next time you want to follow his lead. And you got people like me being like, okay, yeah, your driver who got about 9 poles in a row and didn't convert them, okay, yeah. And all of a sudden you get that back and forth now, and it's good, you know, it's salty, people are getting angry, they're getting petty, right? And it's what you need in sport, it's what you need, a bit of anger, you know. Not wanting to text your friend because they support that team and that team just spanked you and you're like, fuck, you know, I can't show face. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. And I feel like we've seen a change here, a switch here. And Lando's always been like the, you know, I'm smiley and I'm this and that, and I stream on Twitch and I'm best friends with most drivers on the grid, and I'm the up and coming young guy. All the, you know, the legends and the stuff, of the big dogs currently saying it's like, no, yeah, but now you're in the cooking pot, you know what I mean? And now you're in the mix, and it's time to, you know, it's time to get involved. And going up against Max, I don't know, we can't pretend like it's crazy. Most drivers will experience this against Max, and I don't actually think it's a bad thing about Max. I like that he has this sort of like, well, this is what Max gets like, and like he will, be on the edge and go past the edge, and like whether you think he ruined his race or it was Max's fault, it was Lando's fault. I think for the crash it was Max's fault. I mean, come on, let's be honest here. And that shouldn't be insane to you. If you're a Max fan, surely you like the fact that Max does shit like this and you understand this is surely you know the driver who you back. It's crazy to me that people are apparently these diehard Max fans, yet they don't even know. It's like saying like, I love Back to the Future and you don't even know the plot. You know what the film's about, right? Like, you know what Max does, right? And we've seen it multiple times. People are just like, it's like they're fans of like something they don't even know. In my mind, if you're a fan of it, you should like that. I mean, I like it and I rate it. And I like the fact that it's a thou shall not pass, and when you get past, that's when you get that huge cheer, and that's when you got to go for it. That's that's Hamilton at Silverstone knowing I've got to go in here. Don't know the corners or what turn it is. Sorry, I'm not that deep into it, but like into that turn knowing I've got to send it through here. He sends Max into a hospital bed. He's running around with a Union Jack, winning the race at the end. We want more moments like this. We want tires on someone's head. Okay, that could have really actually injured someone, so maybe not. But you get the point. You get the goddamn point. I'm here for it. I'm living for it. It's got me amped, and I'm gonna have to. And even that's with like Lando, who I wanted to win the race, going out, DNF'd. Oh my god, what a way to spice up a season than like a driver. The driver P1 and P2 in the standings fighting, and one of them DNFing from the race. I mean, this is just brilliant. This is just brilliant. And also, like I said, Lando's always been this driver who, like, yeah, Alonso and like Verstappen and Hamilton and like whoever, they all respect. Like, he's good. Like when he won his first race in Miami, everyone's shaking his hand. Everyone's so happy for him, right? It turned into this whole thing. But at the same time, remember that like funny moment which everyone obviously looked too much into, but it's like that that sketch where like Hamilton walks up to the two on top of the podium. Was it last week or whatever? And he gives Lando the formal handshake, and he daps up Max. He daps him up. He respects him. He was in the fucking pits. They was in a fucking dogfight with each other. And yeah, when they're neck and neck, they hate each other and this and that. And they won't even look each other in the eyes and shit. But then afterwards, it passes, and it's like you ask Hamilton, who like some of the best drivers, he's gonna say Max, and you ask Max who the top five is, he puts Hamilton in there. And the other day in the press conference, Hamilton gets asked about Max, and he clearly says, well, Max is just, he's so consistent, he's just so good, you can't really fault him. Like, they respect each other. How do you gain respect? People like Lando, do they respect him? They might start to respect you now. It takes some time. Yeah, sometimes you're going to crash out, sometimes you're going to bump wheels. It's not always going to be clean. Like, people are this week shouting like, Lando stinks in wheel-to-wheel racing. Last week we literally saw him have one of the most fun overtakes of the season so far against Russell, going through all them corners, keeping on the track, and that was clean. That was really nice, and we love to see moves like that. But at the same time, you also got to have the other end of it, the other end of the stick. And you're going to bump tires sometimes. You might lose like a part of your front wing, or you might go wide. You might go off when you're already on a black and white flag, and you got to do these things. And that's how you're going to get the respect out of people. Max wants a fight. Max doesn't like it when he's like a minute ahead and he's got nothing to do. He's pissed now. And he's like, oh, sure, that's his fault. This is fucking bullshit, whatever. I got 10-second penalty. But realistically, this is sport, and you want it to be hard, and you want to feel like you're winning it and not just being handed it. So, I think in the long run, this will be better for him. It's the same with Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc, let's not pretend like he's like not this racer who isn't willing to like flip the coin too, live or die type thing. Like, he drives on the edge. He'll go for it as well. Like, if he feels like it's there to be won. So, I'm excited now because now there's stakes. Now I go into a race knowing, fuck, if Norris like fucks up here, everyone's going to be on Twitter calling him shit, and like now it means something. It's like, if he beats, like, the pendulum swing off week to week now, where if he wins this one shit, if he wins that one shit, he's on the come up. Each different driver, it's amazing. In terms of my fingers in my other pies, Hamilton is in a bit of no man's land, so that's not ideal. Ricciardo with a good race weekend, he out-qualified Tsunoda, not in the sprint, but for the actual qualifying. And you got points, finished P9, so that's good for him, at least. That worked out for me. I don't like, I'm not a huge Gasly guy, but in terms of Gasly or Ocon, I go Gasly. And Gasly, I feel like, has been having a better season. Ocon's out the door, and he finally gets past him after some like good fights going on between them, and literally says ciao. Finally gets past him after like a hard fight for a couple corners and goes ciao. And it was like the implied next unspoken word there was bitch. Ciao, like from this overtake and from this team to get past him. And I was here for that. I saw that after the race. That did make me laugh. I can't lie. George inherits the win. Quite happy for George. And it's like, I've never not liked George. Always liked George. It's just the fact that George is like, he's in there with Hamilton. And you just want to see Hamilton be involved more, not just be like so much of a passenger, it feels like sometimes. And it's like, it feels like there's just no reason for it. It's like, is there some really different, have they got different setups? It's like, no, it feels like the cars are equally similar, but just George is just quicker. And that's the hardest part to stomach, really. Going into Silverstone, hopefully that can just breathe life into people of England, aka Hamilton. I know George is from here as well, but just things can happen there for you, you know. And hopefully he gets on the... Or like he just... I don't know. Because it's just... There's not real much back and forth between those two at the moment. It is just like... Russell out-qualifies him. Russell, for the most part, does better in the race. And he did get close. And he got past Sainz. And he was like looking to overtake. But then since then, he kind of just had to give the place back to Sainz. And then just... That was his race from then on out. And he finished 4th. And it's like, here's the thing. Like, he's losing to Russell. And like, he's... it feels like he's never really there, but realistically he's probably not that far off in the points, and this is like a bad day or whatever, and he's like a nowhere day. He got 4th in the end, so yeah. I mean, if you look at like the standings, like from quali, out of the top 10 drivers, only one driver lost places, which was Max Verstappen from 1st, down 4. Russell up 2, Piastri up 5, great for Piastri. Sainz up 2, Hamilton up 1. Down to Hulkenberg, up 3. Perez, up 1. Yeah. Magnussen, up 4. Ricciardo, up 2. Gasly, up 3. That's how you know you had a good fun time. But yeah, is there anything else we need to cover? I mean, okay, so George inherits the win, by the way. And there's like 3 laps left, and he's got like 3 seconds. And Piastri's quicker, but like he'll probably see it out. Why does Toto feel the need? Like he has to like... feel a part of it. Get on the radio. George, you can win this. George. And then Toto's... What does George say? George literally is just like, shut the fuck. He literally says, let me fucking drive. I don't need you. Like, Toto thinks he makes a difference. I coached George to the win. It's like, no. George literally, it was like in his hands from that point out. Like, he was very easily going to get there. Unless there was some kind of insane pace from Piastri. And it's like... He feels like, okay, now it's my time. I've got to like chime in and be like, George. And each time, it's like the drivers seem like they never really need it. They never need Toto's like hand on the shoulders of rubbing it, being like, you can do this. Like, yeah, let me just focus. You telling me I can win this. You think I don't know? The 2 ahead of me just went, yeah, I know I can win it. God damn Toto, man. But yeah, on to Silverstone. Soft, medium, hard awards. Should we start with soft or should we start with the hard awards? We're going to start with the soft, which goes to Perez, because on my days, after all of that we just spoke about, and that crazy effect, and then puncture, Verstappen had a bad pit even before that, and then he has to go in for the pits again, and he gets a 10-second penalty for causing that crash or whatever, and then he has to go to the pits because of the puncture and stuff. They've got to change that time. So he had a bad pit, he got a 10-second penalty, and then he had to go to the pits again because of the puncture, right? Where's Perez? He's still miles ahead of Perez. Perez is still in the gulag of Hulkenberg, losing a place on the final lap. Soft award, what the hell? Medium Piastri, because really solid weekend, and ultimately, yeah, he really could have won this race, and that was even with like the time deleted for qualifying. So medium Piastri, and then hard Lando and Max, because they crashed. I don't care whose side you took. For the overall season, for the betterment of the sport and my sanity, it's amazing. It's toxic now. And I love it. Next week, Silverstone. Triple header. Oh my god, it is delivering. Bring it on. I'm excited. This is Harzan. We've got Harzan. We're going to the end. Thank you very much. And I'll see you talking about Silverstone.